Welcome in, runners. It is Friday night. Happy weekend to everyone. We are doing a special live presentation for Bitcoin's halving to make sure you guys understand how revolutionary this is and why you need to be paying attention now more than ever. As always, I got my good brother here, Ricardo Hamilton, aka Mims, who's going to make it make sense for us today. What's going on, brother?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing amazing. It just happened. We missed the countdown. The other block must have breaking.
The last block you went through?
It just happened.
Wow. Okay.
Bitcoin halving officially complete.
All right. So there's now the supply has just been reduced. Or
Yeah.
the output of Bitcoins is now from 900 to what, 450? Is that correct?
So we were doing 6.25 per day. So every day, 6.25 new Bitcoin entered the market. That has now been cut to 3.125. So we have a supply shock here. And I even explained this to my 11-year-old today, and he got it, right? So I said, Daxton, there's now less Bitcoin created every single day. So what does that mean? And he simply said, well, there's not as much supply, so the price will go up. He's like, it's kind of like inflation, but the opposite. He's like, is it deflation? And I said, yes, very good. I'm very proud of you. And I'm like, so what will happen to the price? He said, it will go up. And I said, well, what's happening with the dollar now? He said, well, they're creating more of it every day, so the value of it keeps going down. So Mims, if my 11-year-old can get it, I think that people should be able to grasp how huge this is.
Yeah, I mean, supply and demand. He broke that down beautifully. Yeah, I mean, as long as the demand is equal or even stays the same, if no new demand comes into Bitcoin, the price has to go up simply because the supply has just, been cut in half. And so that equates to the price going up. That's just the simple laws of supply and demand. It happens for any product, any asset, and that's why people are excited, because we understand that even if the supply doesn't, or even if the demand doesn't dramatically increase, which it is, countries around the world are now setting up ETFs for Bitcoin and other things in Asia and things like that. So the demand is going to increase and is increasing. But even if it didn't, the Bitcoin price would have to go up because the supply has just been significantly cut in half.
And so I'm on meme pool right now. And what I wanted to see was, you're going to see this fee going up. So right now, these are people that are minting runes. Okay. Now I'm actually decided to not do it right now because the price is going to be insane. But today when I was doing stuff, this was about 50 sats per whatever byte that is. And now we're up to 259. So this is crazy. This is kind of a cool visual here. I like this website. This is a visual of what's going on the blockchain. So each one of these is a block. Bitcoin does a block every 10 minutes. So the bigger these kids are, that means they're using higher transaction fees. I would imagine all these little ones we see going in are people doing runes. And you can see sometimes people get kicked out of this block and they get sent back because they didn't pay enough transaction fees. As you can see, Ethereum is quicker than Bitcoin. That's why these blocks move away quicker. So I always like to show this, just a cool visual to kind of show you what's going on with the blockchain.
Interesting.
So then these are blocks that are coming, and these are like kind of transactions that have stalled or, haven't been fulfilled because they just didn't put enough gas or transaction fees in it. So it is humming along fine. And, just the big picture here, guys, is Bitcoin is perfect money. Like, this is a revolution to bring power back to the people. We no longer have to just save in the dollar while our governments destroy the value of it. That's why this is such a big deal. Now, everyone's asking what the price is going to do. It's probably going to go down. Okay, we're already seeing it was kind of around 64 and it's going down. So here's what you have to understand and just kind of look at what has happened in the past. Okay, you can see here when we had this halving, that was on June 7th. It really didn't start taking off till about August. So about 2 months, it was still in the blue range. This halving, we had the pandemic dip right before there. That was on, halving was around May 5th. I think it was the 6th. Yeah, May 5th. And we really didn't see Bitcoin go up till about October. So we had, what is that, like 3 or 4 months of kind of sideways movement. So I kind of expect a little dip. Hopefully we'll kind of get back into the blue if we're lucky. But you probably got about 2 or 3 months to get into cryptocurrency and Bitcoin before we really take off. Mims, anything you want to add just so people can kind of understand how important it is to take action?
Yeah. So obviously, the halving happened, but Bitcoin is not about to just go straight up to the moon tomorrow.
Right.
So definitely don't have that idea that, oh, the halving happened, and then the next day or a few weeks later, Bitcoin is down, and you're like, oh, that was a nothing burger. No, this is a typical thing that happens after the halving, and you can see that clearly here. And so Bitcoin will go higher. It just won't happen tomorrow, right? But what you want to do is just, it's not about the price, it's about the value, and knowing what you hold. You know what I mean? So that's what it just really comes down to. We have a digital asset here that is reduced its supply, been cut in half, while the demand is growing. And so there's opportunity for you to, get some exposure to this digital asset to grow your money, right? Because your dollars are losing value. Your dollars, is a liability. It's debt, and so you have to find some way to, have your money grow for you. And Bitcoin obviously is one of those ways that people are storing their value and increasing their value at the same time.
No, exactly. And another big story I saw that you probably already knew about, Mims, was that BRICS supports cryptocurrency for global trade, not the US dollar. BRICS member Russia is looking to accept cryptocurrencies to settle cross-border trade transactions and not the US dollar. Russia is advocating to receive payments in cryptocurrencies as the country faces economic sanctions by the US. The Bank of Russia announced early this month that it will push cryptocurrency payments with other countries for trade settlements. So, wow, Mims, again, the Biden administration weaponizing the dollar is probably, there's so many mistakes and bad moves, but I think that might be the biggest one.
Yeah, I mean, what people have to understand is that, we're in a crisis. This is a debt crisis. And the world has realized that the debt crisis will really never come to an end because they have to continue to create more debt for the system to exist. And if they ever stopped creating more debt, then the system would collapse. And so that's the scenario that we're in right now. And the world doesn't want to collapse with the fiat system. They want to be able to take care of themselves and their citizens and their country. And so they're realizing that they have to do something different. That's why you see gold being bought up and held by central banks more than any time period ever in history. Governments buying more gold and silver at any time period in history. Obviously, BRICS and other countries looking to get around the SWIFT payment system and use blockchain technology, to conduct commerce and business, trade and settlements and things of this nature. It's something that before people didn't really understand, but it's forcing people to wake up, which is the inflation. People are seeing the massive inflation that's taking place right now, and they're realizing that they have to do something against it to hedge against the financial crisis and inflation. And that's what digital and physical assets.
No, and there's the man himself, Ron Paul, man. He is my guy. He is the one who woke me up to all of this when he ran for president in 2008. And guys, this is more than just like meme coins and, oh, we're all going to rich and go to the moon and buy Lambos. Ron Paul talked about this all the time about what the Federal Reserve does, how they've never been audited. We don't know what they're doing. It's basically just a private banking cartel that, takes money from us. And he talked about Austrian economics all the time. And that's what Bitcoin does, is it solves the problem caused by central banks and what's called Keynesian economics. Keynes was an economist that basically told governments, hey, just borrow and spend as much money as you can to get the economy going. And of course, governments love that, whether it's left or right. You tell a government official, hey, if you spend more, it solves the problem. They're like, okay, cool. Now I can spend more, give out pork, give out stuff to my, all the fat cats back home who got me here. And so that's what both parties have been doing, is Keynesian economics, which we are seeing the repercussions of right now with massive amounts of inflation, massive amounts of debt, and the dollar losing over 20% of its value in just the last 4 years.
Yeah. We all love Ron Paul. Anybody who's part of the Liberty movement, who understand how the present banking and monetary system works, debt-based fiat banking and monetary system works. Ron Paul is an advocate for sound money, alternative to the Federal Reserve's debt system. A lot of people have been talking about this for some time and trying to wake people up to just how bad the situation is with the debt, national debt, public debt, the dollar and everything else. But obviously you see that people are also exercising their options with blockchain and metals. And that's going to continue, folks. You just got to realize the trend. That's all. Just see the wave, see the trend. The trend is not fiat currency, paper money, dollars. It's the wealth is being transferred over and resetting into digital and physical assets.
100%. So looks like we're down a little bit, about $400 right now, but as that's was kind of expected. Now, there is one thing I want to explain that's very important, that even if we're not doing it right now, you guys want to understand what runes are. Okay, I've been making a lot of videos this week in the Runners group. If you guys want to get in those videos, just look down below in the description. We have a free school where we're going to be putting in different crypto tips, education, and calls that we're doing. So I don't know if you guys know this, but last year, these things came out called ordinals, and that ran on a BRC20 token. That's similar to an ERC20 token on Ethereum. So those have been around for a year. We got in that about $3. It's gone up to about 90. So we've made really good profit on that. So we did get a couple plays into runes before it launched. There were some ways to get some exposure. But the main difference here you guys want to understand is the BRC20 required a new inscription to be created. It supports open minting. You can only have 4 characters. And the big thing is the on-chain footprint, or the amount of data it created, was very high. That's why a lot of people didn't really like it in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So runes literally just launched with the halving. Okay, so this is a UTXO based protocol. And that stands for Unspent Transaction. Okay, so really quick. So runes, this was created by Casey Rodomar. He describes runes as a simple protocol with minimal on-chain footprint and responsible UTXO management. UTXO means unspent transaction outputs, are individual units of Bitcoin value associated with the specific addresses on the blockchain, representing funds that have not yet been spent and can be used as inputs in new transactions. Runes is different from the BRC20 token standard, which is complex and not UTXO based. The latter characteristic causes the BRC20 token standard to produce excessive junk UTXOs, which congest the Bitcoin network. So essentially now we can create our own tokens on Bitcoin. And this essentially just opened, we have no idea what's going to happen. Okay, we just opened Pandora's box. And these are fungible tokens, meaning they're the same. Okay, an NFT is a non-fungible token. That means each NFT is unique and has unique characteristics. So this is essentially like how we can create all these tokens on Ethereum now. We can now do the same thing on Bitcoin. And those are the big things. If you don't know at all what I'm talking about, don't worry. Okay. In the end, it's just buy Bitcoin. Okay. And I was thinking about that this week, Mims.
Yeah.
Is people try to make things so complicated. Okay. I get it. There's like, 10,000 cryptocurrencies. But if you don't have time and if you want to keep it simple, just buy Bitcoin and hodl. That's what it comes down to. And if I would have going back and looking back in the past when I started in crypto in 2017, I think I would have been better off just doing that. And so that's why last year I said, you know what, I'm just going to buy Bitcoin every day and forget about it. Goes to my cold wallet. It's on autopilot. I don't think about it. It just happens and I'm not touching it. So any words of encouragement you want to give to people just as they're looking at either getting into Bitcoin or getting more exposure to cryptocurrency?
Yeah, it just comes down to, knowing what you're getting involved in, understanding the value that will help you reduce your anxiety and the risk level when you bring up your education and understanding of an asset or what's going on in the market. So you might have heard some new terms. You probably got lost, somewhere in there. But nonetheless, there's value. And if you can take some time to understand the value, and if you take advantage of the opportunity early on before the rest of the world realizes the value, that can put you in position to have some significant gains and possibly change your life. Cryptocurrency has obviously changed millions of people's lives already, if not more. And some people didn't have any idea what it was, and some people had a good idea what it was. But the thing is that they all were in it. They all, had a position. You know what I mean? And so that's what Mike is saying. If you don't understand it, even if you do, you want to have some exposure to it. Because if you look at your other options, well, where are you going to put your dollars? Now, of course, the best place, in the physical world is gold and silver, especially physical silver. So important that you get physical silver, right? But in the digital world, if you're looking at stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, CDs, traditional stock market, and then you have, blockchain. You know what I'm saying? You have Bitcoin. You want to make sure that you're investing in the future, and that's the future. That's the technology that is going to usher us into the new financial system as this fiat debt-based weaponized system by central banks like the Fed and SWIFT goes away. Okay. So, you just take advantage, take those dollars, convert them into assets, and, dollar cost average. You don't have to have a whole lot to get started. A little bit goes a long way, even when it comes to physical silver. Just save 1 ounce a month at least. At least an ounce a month. Even Mike shows with Bitcoin. You can save, choose whatever on a weekly or monthly basis, $25 a week. It's up to you.
Yeah,
and I'm sure you're about to show that.
Yeah, that's why we worked well together, brother. I was just already had this pulled up. So to keep it really simple, I use Swan Bitcoin. Okay, so if you guys want to do that, I can give you the link. But here's just an example. Okay, over the last 5 years, if you would have put $100 into Bitcoin every week, you would have put in 26,000 total. But today it would be worth over $100,000. Okay, so let's even make it lower. I mean, let's just go $25 a week. $6,500 turns into $26,000. That's $100 a month, guys. That's like 2 nights going out to a dinner. Maybe just one dinner now if there's 4 people.
Yeah.
But
one thing to have to realize is that if you just save the $25, you would have $6,525. But the purchasing power of that $6,525 is way less. Okay, it's way less. It hasn't increased at all. It hasn't maintained its value. Or over the 5 years, it's less. But I mean, and obviously, if you can have 26,000 as opposed to the 6,005 you saved, you obviously would want the 26. You just have to save it in, something outside of the dollar, and in this case, Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, so we're basically looking at a 400% here, guys, of 4 times your money by just buying Bitcoin every week, every day, whatever it is. So again, this is Swan Bitcoin. It does instant buys instantly with your bank account. You can do recurring purchases. There's no fees on your first $10,000. And they also have free withdrawals. So you can set this up that once it hits a certain amount, it goes to your own personal wallet, and they don't even charge a transaction fee for that. Now, whatever you do, do not try to use Bitcoin right now. Look at this, Mims. Where'd it go? Right now, transactions are over 2,000 sats. And it was at 200 when we just looked last.
Right. Wow.
So it's very expensive to use right now because everyone's trying to mint the runes to get them early. Okay. Because essentially, this is like an historic event. So if you get an early runes, people believe it will have a lot of value in the future because it's kind of like being the first release of, a pair of Jordans or an art collection or a rare limited edition. So don't try to use the Bitcoin network right now because I can't even imagine what a transaction would be. I'm sure it would be hundreds of dollars. I'll see if I can. I kind of want to see how much a transaction is right now. I think that was all we had to share. Yeah, I think that's it, Mims. So yeah, guys, reach out.
Want to talk about pups?
Yeah, we can actually. Let's check that out. So I know a lot of you are probably more of you are familiar with Solana than Bitcoin DeFi. So there is a pups on Solana that is also on that is also going to be on runes. So this is an option if you are not into getting into the Bitcoin ecosystem or you want to avoid all those fees. This starts with pups 8 is the ticker. So make sure you get that right. Ends in WZRG. I'm sorry, that's the contract address. So you can see some pretty decent buys are coming in right now. And this one has already been up to over $100. Let me go to the day chart here. Yeah, so this was basically over 100. Market cap is 106 million. So still pretty low. So that is an option that you guys can do as well if you're more familiar with Solana. Let's see here. There we go. Yeah, so when it came out, it was basically over 100. Yeah.
All right. Yep.
All right. And we
way to get some.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that was another way to get some exposure, like you said. If you want to get pups on Solana, it's another way to get exposure to the rooms.
Yep. And we talked about that earlier, Ivan. Typically, if we look historically at what happens with the Bitcoin halving, it usually goes sideways or dips a little bit for about 2 to 4 months. And that's really when we start taking off. We kind of looked at the Bitcoin rainbow chart from what's happened from the other halvings. And you can see here, kind of stays flat in 2016. And same thing here in 2020. Oops, wrong. It stays flat, okay, for a couple months. So normally we don't go up this much, but because of the ETFs, we went up a lot higher. Typically, we're still in the blue or greenish or whatever that other bluish color is when we get to the halving. Well, we've crept into the green and we've come back down to whatever this color is, like a light blue. So I'm hoping we dip a little bit into the blue. That's what I'm hoping for. But right now, I mean, after we've already seen how high some of these tokens have gone, I mean, this is it. Like, you need to get into crypto in the next 2 months or you're going to get left behind. That's basically all there is to it at this point. All right.
Yeah.
I'm good,
Yeah.
Mims. Any last
I
words?
look forward to no, I mean, we're documenting, you know what I'm saying, the wealth transfer. We're also documenting the collapse of the fiat system. Look, make sure you're creating multiple streams of income. You know, the economy does not look good at all. The IMF is warning about the national debt, okay, and the interest to pay on the debt. We're actually paying more in interest on the debt than we have in our military budget right now. The military budget for the U.S. is about $822 billion, and the interest payments, just the interest, not the principal on the debt, the interest on the debt is about $870 billion. Okay,
Wow.
we're adding $1 trillion to the debt every 100 days. Okay, they have printed more money in the last 4 years than they have since the inception of the country. Okay. You know, if like I said, obviously inflation is going crazy. And the Federal Reserve is now saying that interest rates probably will not be reduced this year because they want to get inflation under control. But understand that we are going to see banking crises, and we're going to see the market collapse and other things of this nature because of the debt. It's a catch-22. They need more debt to inject into the system. That's why they want to lower rates so they can make it cheaper for the banks to borrow this debt. You know, the money, debt, credit, you know, all that is the same thing when you think about the dollar. Okay. And if they don't have this extra debt to come into the system, you're seeing a breakdown, a liquidity crisis, a credit crunch. And that's what we're looking at. And if they raise rates, it's even worse. If they raise rates, people are going to blame the Fed for crashing the economy. And the Fed is going to say we had to get inflation under control to remain credible and for the stability of the dollar on a global on a global scale. So there's a problem here. There's the domestic problem and the international problem. And this is why it's so important that you understand that this debt-based system is collapsing right around you, how fast it's collapsing, and why you start to diversify and hedge into physical and digital assets as soon as possible, while also obviously creating multiple streams of income if you can.
Keep it simple, guys. It's right here. Okay. That's silver and Bitcoin. Get the digital, get it in your own wallet off exchanges, get physical silver as much as you can. We have the best prices on the internet or in real life. Okay. So don't pay more for your metals. Get with one of us so you can start stacking real assets. All right, everyone, have a great weekend. We'll see you guys on Tuesday.
All right. Peace.
Lace up.